You are watching the Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Well, welcome back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Marlene Cox Show. I'm getting kind of cozy. I'm cozy. We got a great show today. We got a great show coming up today, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad we're walking our way through this. Oh my goodness, Black History Month, which has been amazing. We've had some great topics that we talked about throughout the month. So this show, which is the third show within the month, we're going to talk about the fight. The title is always fashion, and you color me beautiful then and now. That's the title of the show. So color me beautiful. So how I can encourage you as we talk about color. Sometimes, you wake up or at the end of the day, things don't seem to always go well. So let's think about color. Maybe you can have a favorite plant in your house. Maybe it's an olive plant, that aloe vera plant that's all green. Then you want to just go look at that plant and you're going to enjoy that particular plant. Or maybe you have a yellow pillow in your house and that pillow going to lift you up and it makes you think about the sun. So think about color. We've talked a lot this month during Black History Month about color, the power of color in money, the power of color in history. So today we're going to be talking about fashion. Your color me beautiful then and now. And this show is amazing. I am so happy to really get with this show. I think you're really going to really enjoy what's happening here on this particular show on the Marlene Cox Show. So guys, let's get started. Strap in your seatbelt. Move. I just strapped mine in and let's go. The show we have been featuring this month has been all of the new generations of the Black America that made up the history. We talked about the Alpha generation. We talked about the baby boomers. We talked about the millenniums. We talked about all of those generations that made up our culture and continue to make up our history that we're going through. So this is so wonderful today that we're going to discuss the baby boomers again through the Alpha generation. So all of those generations in between. And we are living impact they have made on our making across the industry around the world and in our industry. When I say our industry, we are a Maya Modeling Talent Agency. We are a part of the fashion industry and the entertainment, because it's all under entertainment. And we're part of that. And we work with models. We work with musicians. We work with voices of singers. We work with dancers, the whole spectrum. So when I say industry, I'm specifically talking about our industry. And I'm so excited today to talk about You Color Me Beautiful Then and Now. We're going to step back and we're going to blend the show. We're going to blend the show today about the history, what's going on in our industry. We have made remarkable strides in our industry, but we still got a long ways to go. And what a better time to talk about this than this month on Black History Month for all of our viewers. To take this in, because it's so important that we have come a long ways in this fashion industry, but we got a long ways to go. So we got to keep that in mind. We got some great information and things that we're going to share with you today. And one of the reasons that we're sharing this show is telling you why Maya Modeling and Talent and Consulting Agency is because I still believe that there's room and opportunity for everyone in this industry. Everyone. You can go from the beginning of the map to the middle of the map, to the northern states, to the southern states, to Midwest, to Southwest, to East-West. Wherever you're located in this country of America, and even our guests, we have guests from overseas, there's opportunity for you in this industry. And that's why Maya Modeling Talent Agency and Consulting exists. So we're going to bring you some of that today. Everyday life is not black and white. It's just not. There's always that gray area. We like to think of black and white. There's no gray area, but there's gray areas when you're dealing with our industry. It's filled with shades of color. Each of these shades of color brings something different and beautiful to the life. Okay? So let's walk away from the gray area and just walk about different colors that make up life. And that's what we're going to share with you. Our tribute to our history. We'll discuss one of the pioneers in the industry that hardly anyone mentioned, Ophelia DeVore Mitchell. How many of you guys know her? When I read her story, guys, I said, oh my goodness. She came out in around the 40s and 50s with one of the first Black modeling agencies in this country. And she was a model, and she got the little opportunity. She was a little fair. It says she got the opportunity to go work for some of the white agencies up in New York. And what did she notice? That there was not a lot of expertise from us in the industry, and they weren't allowing the doors to open. And she never really talked about her heritage or her background, but she was able to get in. But what she saw was a void. And this is back in the 50s and the 60s. And she opened up a modeling agency on Fifth Avenue in New York. And when she brought that agency, and I love this when I think about Ophelia DeVore Mitchell, she did a lot of things like most of us in small businesses. She did real estate. She had stores. She had real estate. She had to do a lot of things just to maintain her modeling agency. But one of the things that she stood for that I found so amazing, it's almost like I'm living her life, to tap in to make sure not only do when the models come to Maya Models and Talent and Consulting Agency, they learn their talent. We spoke about this on Saturday in our training. It's more than just looking beautiful. It's more than just and handsome. It's more than just having a nice voice. It's more than being just the great actor. You got to have the polishing and the finishing. And back even in the 50s, she noticed that the models were coming in, but they didn't have that polish. And she decided to open up her modeling agency. And she trained a lot of models. You met one person who started in her agency that a lot of us will know of, Diana Curl. Remember Diana Curl, the actress? She went through the doors, and she taught etiquette and the finishing. So that's important in our industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and we're going to fill in with shades and colors. Each of these shades and colors brings something different and beautiful to life. You know, this is Black History Month, so we're doing our tribute. We'll discuss one of the pioneers. We did discuss one of the pioneers in the industry, Ophelia DeVore Mitchell. There's your homework. Look her up. And she reminds me so much of me. I'm like, oh my God, she did this. So join us as we look at history made and almost forgotten. So we're going to get in today. And the first thing we're going to do today, to open up this show, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to share our first clip with you. And then we'll be back with Valencia, and we're going to have a conversation about this clip.
No Black girls allowed on a lot of the breakdowns for castings or things like that. Like, we're not looking for Black girls. We want white girls only, or brunette white girls. You're constantly under this scrutiny of something you can't do anything about. This is the skin I was given. This is who I look like. This is what I look like. You know, I'm sorry.
So that's the first part of that clip that we brought in to talk. Hey, Valencia, how are you? And
how are you doing?
Good. So we're talking about, how do you feel about that in this industry? And we talked a little bit about this last night. Even though we're in 2024, we're still dealing with those issues. Even though a lot of Black models have been on certain covers of the industry. And as we look at other pieces of that clip, you're going to see it's the same ones over and over and over again. And they're going to explain more things about that, what's going on in the industry. So Valencia, based on what we just said in that, and you being not only a co-host, but you're also a professional model. Some of the thoughts that Renee shared with us on that clip before we go to another part of that clip. What did you pull from that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we all know the modeling and talent industry is very competitive, whether you're tall or short. You know, blonde or brunette, skinny or thick, light or dark. But when it comes to fashion and modeling, the color of one's skin has always been the factor that determined whether you were successful or not. And I know in the modeling industry, it's usually a lot of the fair-skinned and Caucasian women book more jobs, and it's unfortunate, like darker skinned women and men, designers don't really want to work with them just because of their skin is darker, and it really shouldn't be that way. And a lot of things in this industry are compared, to our white counterparts. And unfortunately, we made a lot of changes, in the 60s and things like of that nature, but we still have a lot more way to come with as far as diversity, different ethnicities being included in runways and fashion shows, marketing campaigns, all things of that nature.
Yes, that's a good statement. We have a long ways to go, and that's a big factor. And unfortunate sometimes, as you were saying, Valencia, it let us know whether you will be successful or not. And I also would like to say on that part, being successful in the industry, and I know everyone's dream is to go to New York and to go to Paris and to hit the big cities, and that's what they base their success on. But I also want people to know, to cover those big magazines, as you said before, they're not looking for people like you and I. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the interview. But you can still have a great career in an area that if you're in Chicago or if you're in the DC area, you still can have a great career. You might not hit the big stage, but you still can hit a stage and you still can make six figures and you still can go on, and then maybe you can create something, your generation, Valencia, to get us where we need to go. And we be the people at the table who make the decisions about the models. So I think that part was really good. And, through the years, Black and brown folks have been overlooked by designers on runways and covers of magazine, even though and those same people that make or break a product. And it's the truth. Black and brown people, and I listen at young people all the time tell me, I'm going to New York to Fashion Week. I'm going to New York to Fashion Week. And I'm like, okay. Then I understood about 10 years ago, oh, they're going to Fashion Week for some of the small shows. So when I was coming up, Fashion Week was Fashion Week. New York Fashion. You didn't have people booking rooms in hotels, going to community centers and all of those things, or having a extravaganza up in New York during the same time the big stage is going on. You just have that big stage. We didn't get into that. So one of the things that designers and other people have done is open up small stages and young people walk on that, but not on what we consider Fashion Week, the big stage, the stage that you only can be invited to come in. And when you're invited, it comes with a ticket price of $2,000 or $3,000. So you're invited to pay them $2,000 or $3,000 to sit at that table. And the top designers, those models that you see there, and Valencia said it well, the top designers have already made up in their mind what type of models they want to wear their clothes, what their features should be like. And they will take an Afro-American young person, and we might see it in the clips. I'm not sure all the clips that the director had pulled from that. But one of the things she says, and I want you to hear it, that if they do pick an Afro-American, they want them to have, if they're Black, they want them to have white-like features. White-like features. I'm like, what is that? The thin nose, the thin lips. But then I thought about that, and we'll talk about it as we go through the clip. The thin lips, well, seem like to me, everybody's putting needles in their lips to get our lips. Have you noticed that on TV?
Now they want Black features now, but it has to be a white person. So, but for us, we already had them, but it wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough. I love how you said that. They're making their lips look like ours. Well, I remember when I used to model and I used to do billboards. They used to literally paint my lips white and then put their lipstick inside and blog it so my lips didn't show up. They looked thinner on pictures. And nowadays, everybody's trying to get these lips. And they put needles in them in surgery. And their lips are okay when they're picking certain models of another flavor. I thought that to be crazy. But they did do that. And like the Ophelia DeVore Mitchell, a legendary generation pioneer in the industry, saw and how difficult and unfair the modeling industry was toward people of color. So I talked a little bit about her background and what she'd done. And when I read it, Valencia, honestly, I thought I was reading me. I said, well, my Lord, she has done it. Well, she did it before me. Everything that I did in this industry, she already did it. So I'm doing something that she's already done to try to get us into this industry. So I didn't create anything. I'm just kind of building on something that she had already done. She got into the industry, back in the industry, because of her fairness. And long as you didn't say you were Black, if you didn't look like it, they let you go. They let you go, you know what I mean? And that's why she created her agency,
Molly.
so Molly Agency. So before we show the next clip, go ahead, Valencia.
I was going to say the name of her agency was the Grace Del Marco Agency.
Okay, great. Right. And she was on Fifth Avenue, wasn't she? Fifth Avenue or 7th Avenue in New York. I can't remember. One of those. She was downtown in their area. I'm like, who is she? And all of a sudden they saw all these Black girls coming in. I remember reading her story, not verbatim, but the essence of it was, then the larger agencies up in New York started taking notice, and they wanted her to shift all of her people over there, but then they didn't want to pay her. They didn't want her to sign. They didn't want her people under contract. And because she was a businesswoman, she stood up for her agency, and that's how she was able to get her models into their thing. And during that time, then after she really got it going, the next really big top model that we don't hear about is Naomi Sims. Naomi Sims, you familiar with her? I know you know Naomi Campbell.
White model, right? I know Naomi Sims. She's white. Naomi Sims is
she's Black. She's a Black model. We'll bring her up. Now, your generation wouldn't. I think she died in the 90s. And when she died in the 90s, I think she was late 50s or early 60s. So she was up there in age. And she was stunning. She was the first Black model to ever get on Ladies' Journal, Home Journal. That was a big deal just to get on that. We hear about Iman and we hear about Beverly Johnson, but we don't hear about Naomi Sims. So that's a good one. We should have our models look up. Who is Naomi Sims? She's amazing. And she was darker complected. She wore her hair sharp back in a little blonde bun, tall, beautiful woman. And she did a lot of work up in New York, and but she never got the recognition. So by the time she kind of said, okay, I'm going to do some other things, then comes Beverly Johnson and Iman. Okay. So then they were able to embrace a lot of things. And then after them, of course, Terrell Banks and the rest of them come along. But then you think, even then it was limited. It was limited.
Yeah.
And you know,
also,
go ahead.
I was going to say, also going back to Ophelia, Diane Carroll and Cicely Tyson came through her agency as well.
Yeah. I had mentioned, I forgot about Cecily, but I did mention Diana Carroll. And people didn't even know that. They just thought they just jumped out of somewhere, poof, and here they were. And what did we talk about Saturday? That's so important to being in the entertainment, the young man that we were talking about. And that's what her school was all about. What was it that we were talking about on Saturday about that?
Presentation, how you carry yourself.
The whole etiquette thing. And back then they called it charm school. They used to call it charm school. And that's how she got started. She says, because during that time, the Black models would come in, when they would come and show to jobs to do some of these Caucasian companies, they just didn't even pay them no mind. It wasn't that they weren't up there. We thought they were pretty. They might not have been, maybe their future. But she said the one thing she picked up on, that they didn't have the etiquette. They didn't have the grace, the etiquette. They didn't know proper table settings. They didn't know how to sit in a chair correctly. They didn't know how to enter a door. All of those little things, that's where the beginning of her school really was. She did charm school, and through charm school, she started teaching modeling. And that's how she got that. And guess what? Cecily Tyson, who was that, remember, she was a receptionist. And she started going to her school, and she started giving her that grace, started talking to her about articulation and how to articulate your words. I mean, her story is amazing. I have a book on my coffee table with her story. Her story is amazing. And then Diana Curl, you remember her? I don't know if you remember her movie. You remember the movie she was on, the first sitcom, Black woman on a sitcom on TV that played a decent role. She was the nurse.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Julia show. Not that other blacks weren't in TV. I'm not saying that. She was one of the first black women on TV who went through Ophelia's school, who started a primetime series, and she wasn't cleaning somebody's floors, because we've had a lot of us do that. She was actually a nurse. Yeah, she was actually a nurse. So I think that's important. That, and I, unfortunately, both of them have passed. So we don't even have Diana Curl or Stephanie Tyson with us anymore. Yeah. So that. Anything else you want to share about Ophelia, Miss Ophelia?
No, you think we should do a commercial?
Okay. Well, it's about that time. So what we're going to do, instead of just do a commercial. Now, let's do this, Koi. I know I'm throwing you off a little bit. Let's do a commercial. And after that commercial, we're going to come back and talk. And then we'll do the next clip. It's time for a commercial. This is the Marlene Cox Show, WBGR Entertainment.
You are watching the Marlene Cox Show.
Rita by Wallace and Posey.
And we're back. You are watching the Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Boy, I was enjoying those commercials, and we're back. I wasn't looking at that. So do we want to talk a little bit before we dive into that last clip? Yeah, I think he gave us our commercials because of our time. So we can go ahead on and dive into the next little area that we had, the writer had put up for us to talk about. And I'll start out when you say, do you remember what I said last week about history? And last week's show that came on, I talked a little bit about history. History is almost and always seems as something that's happened, whether centuries ago, years ago, or a day ago. While that we may be true to a great extent, it doesn't mean that it's not living and moving. And what that means is, as we shared last week's clip, History is living and moving. Right today, Valencia and I are making history. We don't know where this show is going to land. We don't know how many lives this show is going to impact. We don't know how many people's career that this show is going to impact. So we are living and walking right now into history. So I think what I'll look at Valencia and she'll tell me if we need, do you want to see that clip and then come back and talk a little bit more about the rest of the show?
Could do that.
Okay. So Corey, could you put us on that next clip? And after we come back, we'll talk about that.
The girls that are really just being featured in everything, they really have unique features for African Americans. You know, the very skinny nose, the very elegant faces. They really look like white girls that were painted black. That's beauty, you know, to the industry's perspective, to agents' perspective. When they see that, you know, when they see a girl that can look different, you know, by skin pigment and still have great features like that, it is sellable. You know, when you come in with, you know, big eyes, big nose, big this, whatever, big lips, things that are common traits in African Americans, it doesn't work.
Wow. Wow. I'm stunned. And that was out of New York, the capital, fashion capital of the U.S. And I think we kind of hit bases on that. How do you feel about that? I've lived through it so much, I'm numb to it. How do you feel? You're a younger generation. How do you feel about that, knowing this is a field that you chose to be in?
I mean, I think as just, you know, as a Black woman, we just try to do the best we can. We know, I mean, fortunately, like, there are limitations regarding, you know, being a Black woman in this industry. And, you know, we have broke through some of those limitations. I just think that keep pushing forward until, you know, the day comes when we can just be equal, you know, have the same opportunities as everybody else. But so yeah, we know we're just gonna keep going forward, gonna keep pushing, striving to break barriers. And you know, also, you know, start. It's also depends on it's up to the designers and it's up to the industry as well to change as well. We can, you know, try all we want to, but they are the ones giving us these opportunities. But also as models, you know, we can also, you know, start our own fashion lines too and do it ourselves. And then we have our own models that we can bring on. So there's always a solution to, you know, every problem.
Okay, I love that. That's fast forward thinking. And that's a good point. We really can bring on our own models and we can have that second big stage. That second big stage that the people sitting in that audience with those designers that night, because Fashion Week is not just somebody getting up there showing their design. They're selling. And you don't see the part where the models walk down off the stage and they're in the audience and they're talking about the garments and the prices and the people write the numbers down. So they're going to be ordering that design, you know, that night, that whatever that might be. And there's only so many of them that are going to be made at New York Fashion Week. Only so many. Now you're going to get copies through your department stores, through designers and stuff like that. You'll get copies to the high-end department stores, Neiman Marcus, to Macy's, to JCPenney's, to Target, but they're going to be copies. But what you see up there on that big stage, that's one of a kind. And when that person purchases that, and even when they make a copy, they change things. So you're not looking at that something somebody just gave them $20,000 or $30,000 for. And we can do that. And we can do it and keep our prices in a more comfortable range, and sell our stuff and put our model and insist. Designers can insist along with the models that we have more than 3 Black models that can be on Vogue. Or Black Vogue, or any of the, I mean, they call it Black Vogue over in Italy. So we have more than that. But I like your forward thinking, and that models have to see it. And you want to see that at the same time. Do you ever look at the reality shows? Have you ever looked at the reality shows? Any of them? What's that one I really like? I don't. Potomac, Atlanta.
Potomac.
Yeah, and what I'm noticing. So this is going to help the industry change. I know, and like I put on a little pounds, and if you notice me, I'm always in a jacket because I come from that generation that you're not supposed to show hips, nothing. So I'm always in a jacket, covering. Even when I was skinny, when I weighed 110 pounds, I was always covering it up because I was always hippie. It didn't matter. But I appreciate those young people on those reality shows, and they are, especially the Black ones, they are sporting their bodies, and they're not ashamed. And some of them are a little, but some of them are very classy. But they're not trying to be a 4, and they might be a 4, but they are shapely 4. They're not a pin 4, and they are proud of their body. So I'm hoping when I look at that, Valencia, I'm like, this is gonna change the industry. Who is making their clothes? Who are these designers for those clothes? Who are doing those clothes? And I really like to know who those designers are doing that. So that's making a difference. And the other difference too, these designers are catching on, especially the top designers, that the average person who buys their clothes are 8 to 16. So you don't need straight skinny models because that's not the real look when a person is putting on an outfit.
Right. If people want to see the real models on the runway, they want to see, women with curves on the runway that look like them. They don't really want to see, straight up and down all the time because most average women have hips, a backside. They're not, they have, they look like women, not like little girls. So they don't want to see that on the runway.
And the ones who don't have it are getting operations to get it. There's a place over there in Virginia, boy, they coming in there getting hips and boobs, everything. I'm like, oh my God, young. I don't see a lot of us getting that. I see a lot of us getting the fat from the stomach, but I see a lot of them going in there getting the boobs and the hips and the thighs. Who would have thought somebody want to increase their thighs because they're so straight up and down?
There's some Black women do that. It's called the BBL. Yeah, a lot of them.
What's that? Tell me that. What's the BBL?
Brazilian butt lift.
Are they getting that? Yeah, well, they must really do that now.
Too many people doing it. Everybody's trying to look the same. It's not really natural. Some of them not really natural looking. They make it too big and doesn't match their thighs, and
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, that's like a lady getting, she's a size 2 and she goes get a 38 breasts. She's all top over like this and her body's like this. I'm like, that don't look sexy to me. I'm not a man, but darn, I don't see that pretty. But they do all of those kind of things. So hopefully, but did you notice the numbers, Valencia? 86% of the people who get chosen for Fashion Week in the high end are Caucasians. And I think it was, I can't remember the numbers, but I know 6% Black. How many was, and how many was Spanish?
I think Spanish might have been the least one. I think it was 1% Spanish.
Spanish and the Asians.
That's surprising to me. I was surprised when like Spanish people get chosen less than Black people. That's interesting.
Yeah,
they was like,
but I was shocked. So when you're going up there to compete, that let me say something. Corey, do we have another clip from that? If we have another clip, put that clip on. Let me know if we have another clip. Do we? Tell me in the chat. Let's look at that.
Clients will hire 15 Caucasian models. They have on their roster to hire 1 or 2 ethnic models. You do have some designers that will put, no African American, so on and so forth. So that's why it is so hard for agencies to have ethnic models. They literally have to be flawless, whereas, the 15 white girls, you got 3 or 4 in there that are not flawless, but in the African American realm, the model has to be perfect.
Wow, that was heavy. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
that's the
Like,
way
'cause
it
we have,
is.
black people, black women, we have to be better, be more, jump through hurdles just to get, the same opportunities as, the all white counterparts. Because he said 15 of those white women, they weren't flawless, but they get chosen. But the two black women have to be flawless, have to be like perfect looking just to be chosen. So you have to be more than average just to get chosen.
Yeah, more than average. Yeah, to get chosen, and it's unfortunate. And guys, and I'll say this to our audience: don't go around here chopping off your nose and all that stuff, trying to look like that, because you don't. It don't make you look good. You look worse. Keep what you got, and like Valencia said, make things happen. Change it by you building something. You model for 15 years now. You start your design. You become that top photographer that you can go and you can compete with those photographers in New York to get your stuff on the main covers, and make the main covers Essence. What's wrong with Essence being the main cover? What's wrong with Essence magazine or other creative magazines that we have out there being the main magazines? What makes that different? So we have to create that. That's and it's but it's a reality, especially for you and I, Valencia, as we work towards bringing young people in, or all ages, whoever wants to get into the area, and we have to work them through it. And I watch you work with the young people in your branding development classes at the Maya Modeling Talent Agency, working with them to make them understand why they have to do things at a certain level. You can't half step. Your pretty face is not enough, because he just said, and you just said, based on what he said, you can have the prettiest face in the world, but they don't see that as flawless. They don't see that as flawless. What did he say on one of the clips? The Afro-American comes in, they got the big eyes, the big nose, the big lips. To them, that's out balance. To me, that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I don't hire the models, I train the models. So I'm in a different category. But to me, that shows beauty, having it all. You ain't got to reconstruct the nose. You ain't got to reconstruct the lips. You ain't got to get them needles put in your lips to get that look. And now, because the larger lips are in, you do see the other models, Caucasian models, getting their lips done, and they're still getting the jobs because they got the thin nose still, and the eyes they still have the almond shaped eyes, but they might have blue eyes and blonde hair. Yeah. And you want to talk about modeling and competing, you can even come out of the black world, black models. Take a brunette over a blonde. They will hire a blonde before they hire a white brunette. Have you ever watched Charlie Angels? The real Charlie Angels with Farrah Fawcett? Farrah Fawcett? Probably not in your generation.
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen the episode all the way, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, you look at Charlie's Angels. There was Farrah Fawcett, Jackie, that other girl, Kate. Jackie Smith, gorgeous. Sarah Fawcett couldn't put a nickel to her. She was beautiful, but she was a brunette with dark hair and dark eyes. Sarah Fawcett, through makeup, made her attractive, but she was never pretty. She was attractive, but she was blind, natural blind. I used to look at that, I'm like, Jackie is the gorgeous one there, but they don't see that. There's something about, even in them, is a difference. How many brunettes you will see up there than blinds. Check it out one time. Check it out. Check it out. And very seldom redheads. Very seldom. They'll make them dye their hair. And I think a stunning car with red hair is beautiful. They look beautiful to me. So you have all of those things that you have to deal with, you know. They never show Charlie. Okay. Did you see that? Oh no, I was just asking. I was just the engineer that gave me a note. Instead of them talking in our ears, they're putting it up. And I'm just wondering who Charlie is.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Charlie is?
That's the person that's giving the directions and stuff. But I think they might have showed him in the movie, like the movie that they made. I think they showed him in the movie.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the character who played him, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you have all that to contend with. So guys, ladies, and gentlemen, we have to be excellent. And what did she say about us? We have to be excellent. And he said, what was the word he used?
Flawless.
Flawless. Yes. Isn't that amazing? Now, when I look at you, you're absolutely beautiful. You look flawless to me. I mean, everything's in place. Your eyes are right. Your brows are right. Your nose is proportional on your face, just right. You can go up here and see the cheekbone. Your lips are right. Your chin is right. It's not too poor. I mean, everything to me, I don't understand it. Everything to me, you look perfect. And I'm a painter. I'm an artist. So to me, everything on you. I don't know what they're looking for. I'm sorry. Say, hey, guys over there at the engineering studio, put it in my chat. Isn't she beautiful? Put it in the chat. You can tell me over there. So I don't know what they're looking for. I really don't. But that's the bar that we have to deal with. That's the bar. And Valencia, what I will say for you as a young woman, you handle it well. You strive. You handle it well. You do. You just handle yourself well. How you carry yourself, how you speak, how you present yourself, very professional. You really handle yourself well. So you have all the pieces. It's just like, okay, I'm knocking this door down because I have it, all the pieces, because you have them. A lot of times I find in our industry, you can find someone come in pretty like you and all that. Their attitude is not right. That will kick you out the door faster than anything else, not having the right attitude. Because if it was just about being pretty, he just told us, as far as we're concerned, we have to be flawless. But that industry determines what flawless is. I'm like, whew. But he was giving us the truth. He was just telling us what way it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going to go to the next segment. It's in the fashion and beauty industry. It's only been in recent years that we've seen Black and brown faces on the cover of mainstream fashion magazines. But trying to break through in the industry is more difficult than you can imagine. Take a look at this clip.
Okay. Next clip.
Show-wise, she has a terrific walk, which is slightly wide on her hips. Like she's womanly. She has like kind of woman figure, and at this moment, without being anorexic, but the girls, they're like a little bit more thin. Black models, they tend to be like a little wider hips and a little bit more like round, and so sometimes even though like the face is amazing, she has like a fit problem. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Wow. And she's in the Black community, she's thin.
Yes, she is. She's skinnier than I am. But yes. I probably wouldn't made it. They would have looked at me and turned me away probably. But yeah, because I know like I'm thinner, but I still have, hips and backside. So I know like a lot of designers don't like women that have hips, and they want the models that are straight up and down for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and then, so we got to get some of our designers to make the real clothes for real people. For real people.
Like, Fashion Nova, that was like made for people like the engineer said slim thick, like they're slim but they're thick kind of. I kind of refer to myself like that too. But yeah, because those clothes fit me good because they, my top is little, my top side is slender, but then bottom half is wider. So those clothes fit me they fit me well. They fit my curves well. Other clothes, like Beyonce said, you have to jump in them. She says in one of her songs, "You don't feel my pain. If you don't jump in your jeans, you don't feel my pain." So, yeah.
What's the name of that? What is the name of that line you said that's easy for you? What's the name of it?
Fashion
Again?
Nova. Fashion Nova.
Oh, we got to contact Fashion Nova. We need to contact Fashion Nova. They need to come
Some of
on
the
our
clothes
show.
out there, but they have a variety range of clothes, but they have clothes that are a little bit more explicit, but a lot of the clothes are just regular. They have like nice dresses, nice jeans. Their jeans fit me really well because they're the way they're made. The hips are a little out some, so they go on your hips well. But yeah, they have nice clothes for women that are have a little bit curvier, have to have hips. That's basically what it's made for.
Okay, and that fits. So that's somebody we need to contact and get in touch with. That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful. So, so Valencia, where are we now on the show?
We're talking about almost all the things Renee experienced. We're talking about things that Renee experienced in the quest in the industry. Talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because she experienced a lot. But we saw the whole clip, and she experienced. I think she got the jean job, but she didn't get on Fashion Week. She didn't make New York Fashion Week, and
right.
Yeah, so her experience, where she kept her head up high, and
you're breaking up some.
Yeah, and you okay? Yeah, you were going out for a minute. Now we both are going out. Put the clip back up, and while we're making the changes, let's put the clip up. It could be the same one or a new one. Okay, here she is. Now I'm breaking up.
Yeah, I couldn't hear what you said because it was.
Yeah, you kind of went out, back in. You went out and came back. Did you know that? Yeah, you went out and came back in. Okay. So anyway, so where are we now? Are we almost ready for that next thing online? We looked at Renee's experience, and I hope everyone took from her experience. She never gave up. She never gave up. And was that Charlie who was explaining about her body? Was that who Charlie was? No, that was somebody else. I'm sorry. And he was explaining because she was thin, and then he said she's a little too curvy. Afro-American, a little too curvy. So she's going to have a problem with the fit. So that tells us that the top designers and those big ticket items, those big marketing jobs, for years there was reasons for that. Back in the day, it was designers could use less material. It was not as expensive. But we're not using 100% of cotton and 100% of wool anymore. So back then, I understood that, but part of the reasons why they used the real thin models, whether it was in the showroom or on the runway, or different things like that for their designs, because what we see on the runway is not really always the finished piece. That runway, that model might be pinned up in that, but they don't have to use as much material. But nowadays, with all the additives to materials and different things, that makes material a lot cheaper. You don't have, like it used to be all linen, all cotton, all wool. And I remember coming off of a flight one time. I think I was flying into Chicago, and I had on this all linen suit. Beautiful suit. It was like an eggshell white. When I got off that flight, I was so wrinkled, it was ridiculous because it was all natural material. And I noticed, not because of me, but I just happened to notice that they started blending linen with other materials because linen was an expensive thing to get. Now linen, you can very seldom find a pure piece of linen. They'll say linen, but it's mixed with other stuff. So materials aren't as expensive. So I thought with that being in play, maybe at some point designers would change up, but the high end still has that. But rest assured, models, you can be successful in your area with the body that you have. We just wanted to share with you they're still are not equal as far as even in the fashion and beauty industry. And as far as that's concerned, even in entertainment industry, even in acting, there's always a discrepancy in the pay, or always a discrepancy of how many lines you're going to get, or are you going to be on the credit as the support actors, or all of those things. So we had that discrepancy across the board. So Valencia said it well. We have to create our own. Bottom line. and let them come after us. And it's true that they do. Now, you know that whole urban thing that they got going on with the kids wearing the clothes all hanging down and looking. Now designers are actually making stuff like that. Not our designers, other designers, and our kids are buying it. They turn it into a style. Then you go over there at Neiman Marcus, boy, you see it over there, a pair of pants, $300 and hanging all down off your butt. But they have it so that it's fitting you better. So if we don't jump on it and do it, they will. That's for sure. That's for sure. So is it about that time?
Yep, time for tips and toodles.
So let's take us out for our tips and toodles. Well, one of the things that I had put for our tips and toodles that I thought was really improving, you have to invest in yourself. You have to get what it takes to be competitive because it's very competitive. So you have to get a little bit more. It's nice to look on Google and all them walking things, but it's nothing like having an instructor or coach in person to help you get there. So that's important that you have to invest in your career if you want to be successful. Because as they say, you have to be flawless in this industry. So that is one of my tips for today. And Valencia has a tip she's going to share with you.
Yes, I would say always have a positive attitude, especially, and don't be discouraged, especially as a Black model in this industry. You might get more no's than yeses, but having a positive attitude will help you get through so many more doors. One may close, but you maybe don't get the opportunity for this designer, but maybe they like you, but maybe not for this campaign. So, but you had a positive attitude, and then maybe the designer noticed that, and they'll remember you for the next time that you come for a casting, and you have positive attitude. They'll see that in you and maybe get casted for the next one. So just keep that in mind. Don't get discouraged and have a positive attitude.
Oh, that was wonderful. I hope they wrote those down. So we have the tape. And if you didn't get a chance to write that down, we're on tonight at 6:00 on WBGR TV. But if you need to catch something that you didn't catch, make sure you go to the Marlene Cox Show YouTube channel so you can get all that potent information. And then not only that, why don't you contact us at www.mayamodels.com. Go on, click models, and it'll take you through some steps. And let us know how we can help you or where you are in your career. Even if you're a professional model and you need consulting and guidance, just go to us, www.mayamodels.com, and let us know how we can help you. And Valencia is going to take us on what's going to happen for us next week.
So next week, we will be discussing the color of money, a new generation of wealth.
All right. So guys, button up your seatbelt. I'm just taking mine off right now. And you meet back with us next week. And remember, each day you have a blank canvas. Make that canvas your own. You have control of the brush, and every stroke that you do, make it your masterpiece for this week. So we're going to say goodbye for now, but we'll see you next week on the Marlene Cox Show. Thank you for watching and share, and please tell your friends. And thank you so much for watching us. And we will see you next week on WBGR TV at Roku, and at 6:00 and 7:30 on the Marlene Cox Show TV. I mean, what do you call that thing? YouTube. I was getting confused. YouTube. Go see us. Follow us on Maya Models Collective. We have a lot of social media out there. Follow us on TikTok. And next month, we're going to kick off our new format. We got a lot of things going on next month. We're going to kick off our format with our tips and tools and our roundabout town. So we're always looking to improve to bring you the best show that we can possibly bring. And please let us know what you want. Let us know what you need. Let us know if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or let us know that you know someone who might like to be a guest on our show. So we're going to check it out. Thank you, Valencia. Wonderful job. And we will get back to you next week. And thank you again for watching the Marlene Cox Show. See you next week. God bless and stay safe.
You are watching the Marlene Cox Show.